I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll call the meeting of the Common Council to order. Please call the roll.
Councilor Olson is excused. Councilor Tom Fennessy.
Here.
Councilor Bender.
Here.
Councilor Sweeney.
Here.
Councilor Brent Fennessy.
Here.
Councilor Garfield.
Here.
Councilor Ludwig.
Here.
Councilor Herrick.
Here.
Councilor Kern.
Here.
And Councilor Dalbeck.
Here.
Recognizing the quorum, we'll proceed, and I'll ask for the consideration of the minutes for the December 6th meeting.
So moved. Second.
Heard the motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Item 6 is the consent agenda.
Move for approval.
Second.
Heard a motion and second to approve. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Item number 7.1, Finance Director Vito has a presentation regarding general fund reserves.
Good evening, everyone. When I started this presentation, it was going to be reserves, and it was going to be kind of a budget overview of how we do the budget throughout the year, and then adding an introduction to priority-based budgeting, and it ended up being extraordinarily long. So we're splitting this up, and we're just going to be focusing on reserves tonight, and then I'll bring back those other two items at the meeting in January. So the purpose of the presentation tonight, this is just informational. We're not seeking any action from the council, but it's to give you an update on our current levels of financial reserves. And then, like I said, we'll hold off on those other two items until the January 17th meeting. So reserves, what we'll talk about tonight, what exactly are reserves? Why are they important? How are the appropriate levels determined? When do you have too little? What is too much? Who makes the decision on the levels of reserves? And then I'll close with how do we compare with what the recommendation is? So what exactly are reserves? When we're talking about reserves, we're not looking at like the wastewater treatment plant or landfill or those other funds, but we're focusing on the general fund. And formally, another name for reserves is also fund balance or fund equity. Casually, they can be referred to as a contingency fund or a rainy day fund. And some misconceptions are when they're referred to as a savings account, surplus cash, or a slush fund. The most basic definition is simply the difference between assets and liabilities. So why are they important? The most obvious reason, in case we should come across any unanticipated events or emergencies. And just a few years ago, we had the flood of, I don't remember what year that was, but 2012 already, okay. And we needed to have cash on hand to start doing some improvements immediately, and it has taken quite some time to get reimbursed from FEMA. So that's just one example of when we can need higher amounts of cash quickly. The reserves are also extremely important to our bond rating whenever we issue debt. The rating agencies pay very close attention to the level of reserves that we have year after year after year in the general fund. And if they deem them to be appropriate, sufficient, it can affect our bond rating in a positive way, which then means when we do issue debt, we'll pay that back at a lower interest rate. Reserves, when we do have cash on hand, we invest them, and we have an investment policy, and it's a pretty significant source of revenue in our general fund. It can generate these years, it might be $100,000 or $150,000 of investment income that stays in the general fund. Years ago, that was closer to probably $400,000, but that's when rates were obviously higher. So how do we determine what the appropriate level of reserves are? There's a number of external sources that I look to. This isn't something that I just start thinking, well, what do I think we need? I tap into experts on this. There's an organization called the Government Finance Officers Association, and they have probably hundreds of recommended best practices in all different kinds of areas that are financial, and one of them is on levels of reserves within the general fund. So we look at their recommendations. I ask our external auditors. We usually go through the reserve review every couple of years, and so I ask them what they're learning about any updates in reserve levels. We have an outside financial advisor that helps us when we're issuing debt, and so we get an opinion from them. And a lot of what drives the reserves is feedback from the bond rating agencies, as I mentioned earlier. So we make recommendations, but ultimately who makes the determination? It's either it could flow through the finance committee, but ultimately it is you as the council. You make the final determination. If you don't like the recommendation that we make as administration, you have every right to look at the reserves and do what you wish. But I like to warn of pitfalls of the use of reserves, which I'll touch on later. So the question is trying to find the balance. You don't want too little and you don't want too much. And simply stated, I think any amounts that deviate from the recommended level are too little or too much. And I just put a couple of examples. Our reserves the recommendation is that they should be around the $9 million mark. An example of having reserves at $3 million, that would obviously be far too low, and we wouldn't have enough set aside to cover either the recommendations from those external organizations, or if we had an emergency and we needed cash on hand. The opposite of that is an example of $12 million, and that is when taxpayers will rightfully get upset and they'll say, why are you taxing me so much, and just retaining the funds, and that we don't want to do that either. So the pitfalls that I had mentioned, and I get questioned on this usually on an annual basis, but what if you wanted to use it to fill a budgetary gap? The problem with that is that you'll have that as a revenue source for that budget year, but then what happens the next year? You need to either tap into those reserves again, or you need to cut your expenditures to balance, and those aren't popular choices. Another question is, why don't we use it to reduce the tax levy? Excuse me, and we've had levy limits in place since either 2005 or 2006, and if you do draw down on your reserves and lower your levy, in these days you permanently then reduce that base of your levy, and you don't get that back the next year. So again, the same thing, you would either have to tap into your reserves the following year or lower the expenses to balance the budget. The other concern is obviously the credit rating. I would anticipate if there was a desire to tap into reserves for operating costs, I could pretty much guarantee a reduction in our bond rating. That gets the credit agencies very concerned about how we're managing our money. So the current recommendation I have at $9,240,000, and in the narrative that is with the council packet, I'm happy to go through that if you wish. There are a number of components to that number, but really, I think most importantly, that number is around 32% of our overall budget, and that seems to be the trigger where the credit agencies, if it's less than that, they may look at downgrading us. But what was very positive from them, a positive comment, was that we've been able to maintain our reserves around I would say 30 to 33% of our annual budget for a number of years. And I think that's actually bumped us up in the rating some time ago. So at the end of the audit of 2015, our reserves are they're so close. They're $9,121,000. So I think we're right on. 2016, I do anticipate we're going to generate additions to these reserves. So I think it's important then that we look to make sure we're not going in a direction that's actually too high. And that's what I have, and open for questions.
Questions and comments?
Say, Gene, I just have one. Thank you for using a Christmassy background
I
for that.
thought you might like that.
And my other question was, last time I was here for PowerPoint 2, it doesn't seem like it's in the center of the screen anymore.
I was having some trouble with, I think it's my presentation and the format of my slides. I was
Okay.
having some difficulty with it, and I just didn't get to prettying it up at the end.
They still look good, and thank you for the presentation, and thank you for keeping us at the 32% level.
Well, thank you for understanding the importance of that. I really appreciate that.
Hey, Councilor Herrick?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks, Gene. I think it's important that everyone out there knows, about the surplus and also what we use it for and how we maintain that. Thank you.
Councilor Garfield?
Just really briefly, Gene, since you mentioned that it's going to go up a little bit next year, what are we looking at for the next couple of years after that? Does that kind of balance out, or we're not expecting an increasing reserve year after year for very many years, are we?
2016 is a very different year than the 2017 budget,
Right.
and our contingency in this year is just under $400,000. So that means it's not going to be spent and it's going to flow into this number. I anticipate that 9.1. Adding the contingency in there, you should then be up at 9.5. And we're also running pretty good for the year with fuel. I think the fuel line item, just that one line, was budgeted over what we need, and that could generate up to $150,000, maybe even $200,000 of savings as well. Then you transition into 2017, and our contingency was something like $25,000. So it's just 2016 will add to it. I don't think 2017 will, though.
Right, and I
Good
just wanted to
question.
ask, because of course last year we made the move for the 1% reduction, anticipating we would have some leaner years ahead. So I just want the public as well to know that it's okay that we have a good year next year, because we are planning for the future there.
That's a great reminder of why we did that.
Thank you.
Councilor Sweeney?
Gene, is the interest generated from this put back into the fund?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, it is.
Any further comments or discussion? Thank you, Gene.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 7.2, Finance Director Vito is requesting approval of the agreement between the City of Superior and the Chamber of Commerce for distribution and allocation of hotel rooms tax.
Second.
Councilor
Motion and
Sweeney
second.
does have a recommendation for an amendment. Do you want me to read that, Jeff?
Please.
Please. Councilor Sweeney is recommending that the agreement include the language, in the event of termination of the agreement between the City of Superior and the Superior Chamber of Commerce, the Superior Chamber of Commerce shall forward all monies not spent or encumbered by December 31st, 2017. The balance shall be forwarded to the City of Superior by February 28th, 2018. All monies shall then be forwarded to the new tourism entity.
Make a motion to approve with the new language added.
As is my second.
You're approving the amendment right now. Councilor Hennessy?
With that change there, don't they get the money on a quarterly basis? So, I guess, is it really necessary if we're funding it on a quarterly basis and then canceling it, 90 days or whatever it says in the contract? I guess what's the main purpose of adding that?
Can I answer that? Main purpose is that in that fund, they carry balances forward.
Mhm.
Okay? There's no need, we're giving the money for tourism, okay? They can carry it forward and forward and forward without spending the money. And if it's tourism money, it ought to be spent, okay, to develop tourism. We're not giving the money in the fund to accumulate funds, okay? And I understand that at some point in time, there has to be requests for that, in that fund, okay? But if there's not, I think it's a responsibility. We're here to develop tourism. That's what that's what this money's for, and that's what it should be for.
Can you read that again for me? The motion? Oh, never mind, he's got it here.
I'm sorry, I was supposed to hand it out, and I have it sitting up here, too.
Okay.
You have before you motion and second to amend the original motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. There's a motion on the floor to adopt the recommendation. Discussion on that motion?
I don't have a motion and a second to that. I just have the motion and
Yes.
second for the
Yes.
amendment.
Counselor Harris, Counselor Bender.
Okay,
The original
thank you.
motion, second, and also for the
Okay, thank you.
amendment.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Assistant Finance Director Bronson and Chief Alexander are requesting approval to reallocate $102,195 from the 2017 general fund budget to transfer to police grant fund.
Motion approved.
Heard motion and second. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Item 7.4, Public Works Director Janico is requesting approval of the state municipal agreement with WisDOT for the construction portion of the Belknap reconstruction project.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Heard the motion and second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Public Works Director Janico is also requesting approval of the Cathedral School parking lot reconstruction agreement to be done under WisDOT contract for the Belknap reconstruction project.
Motion to approve.
Second.
You heard the motion and second. Counselor Kern?
Can you just explain kind of what they're doing? I kind of read through it and I didn't quite get a grasp on what they were trying to accomplish there, or what we're doing.
On the, it'd be the southeast corner of Baxter and Belknap, they have an empty lot. And the city and state will be encroaching from the south into the parking lot, and also from the east be encroaching west, and also the alley. So we're gonna be taking a third of their parking lot from three sides, and they asked, well, instead of leaving that chunk of unused pavement and old pavement in the middle, could we partner with the city, pay for the additional cost to do that work and reimburse the city, and just have it be part of the contract? So that corner parking lot will all be reconstructed, and they'll pay the city the cost of doing that work. Reimburse us.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Item 7.6, Janico is requesting approval of the contract extension with SEH for landfill environmental sampling and reporting in 2017 for an amount not to exceed $34,600.
Motion to approve. Second.
Heard the motion and second. Seeing no lights on, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
He's also requesting approval of landfill consultant contract with SEH for 2017 not to exceed $8,000 per month.
Motion approved.
Heard the motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Assistant Public Works Director Carlson is recommending entering into an agreement with state municipal agreement with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation for the development of a City of Superior active transportation plan.
Motion approved.
Second.
Heard the motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Parks and Recreation and Forestry Director Kadad is recommending approval to award the services for the 2017 Barker's Island Marina dock upgrades to AMI Consulting Engineers for the proposed not to exceed amount of $29,200.
Motion approved.
Heard the motion on multiple seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Mayor Hagan is reappointing Brian Lammy, Donald Newmy Jr., Nick Hornan and Gary Banker to the Business Improvement Board of Directors, and Shanu Kaczynski to the Community Development Block Grant Advisory Board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Heard the motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Item 11.1 is an ordinance introduced by the Finance Committee repealing and recreating Chapter 74, Article 3, Hotel Motel Room Tax. Councilor Sweeney had also recommended that that language be included in the ordinance. Jack, do you still want that same language included?
I think Jean said she would do.
Okay.
Just one addition, and it's at the very end of this ordinance, under the Superior Tourism Development Fund Committee. Councilor Sweeney has an addition that he would like to add, and it is as follows. Funds must be spent or encumbered annually by December 31st.
I would second that.
You heard a motion and second to include the language just read into the recommendation. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Is there an original motion on the floor?
No, the original motion has to be voted on.
Stuff about an actual ordinance.
That was moved and seconded already, I think.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Any further business come before this body? If not, I want to wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas and a healthy and joyous New Year.
Same to you. Feliz Navidad.
Before you all leave, it has been confirmed that we will have a quorum for next Tuesday at 4:30 for the special council meeting. 4:30. And we'll get that agenda out tomorrow or the next day.
Okay.
I should ask for a motion and second to adjourn.
Somebody already made it.
All righty, thank you very much.